Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, September 2nd, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card popping out of the deck for today. I love us beginning this card for today. We're starting with our 5 of Pentacles in its reversal. How are you doing now that the retrograde's over? I'm telling you right now, a lot of this work navigating this recent retrograde, it was heavy. It was a lot of internal unpacking. It was a lot of navigating those abandonment wounds. But again, one of the reasons we navigate abandonment wounds is so that we can surpass and overcome them. How do we surpass and overcome an abandonment wound? We observe through it. We don't react to it. Say it with me. We observe through it. We don't react to it. So for a lot of the work that may have been experienced during this recent retrograde cycle, it may have felt triggering. It may have felt like there were experiences from the past that were rising back up to the surface, either in metaphysical or tangible ways. But being able to recognize and identify what you experienced from the past, but seeing how much you have changed along the way, this is what allows for so much of that functional healing to occur during these retrograde cycles that we just cleared through. For a lot of the work right now, doing that energetic unpacking, it was heavy. Masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now. This is a lot of the appreciation that you may be building upon oneself in recognizing how far you have energetically come, in not becoming reactive to experiences from the past, in experiencing and seeing things that would have generated a different reactivity point in yourself, but being able to effectively, again, observe through it instead of react to it. This is a lot of the energy that's coming into that point of appreciation in recognizing that that ability to move through something is showing how much work you are doing in navigating one's own abandonment wounds. Because I like to point out here, it's not that the abandonment wounds go away. We can't get rid of them completely. That ability to observe through them, but to utilize that as a point of insight, to utilize that as a point of understanding. This is a lot of the energy that may be feeling that boost of confidence. It's like the final gift of the Leo season that is propelling us into Virgo season right now. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now that are coming into divine union, this could be a little bit more arduous, because I'm seeing here that this is the energy that is working to do that at this time. So for a lot of the energy, that ability of having something that feels energetically triggering, observing it within the self, this is why we see that, because so much of this energy coming into divine union right now is navigating and working through the process of trust. And what occurs when we come into that modality of having to navigate through the process of trust? For a lot of the energy in that experience, that process of trust, that is where the abandonment wound may be lying. It may be in evidence there. This could even be energy that is feeling that sense of finding an abandonment wound in the heart of the space and place wherein you would typically trust. And for a lot of this energy right now, we are either seeing that this is the energy that's doing that work on the self that we discussed, potentially coming out of first conflicts, but with a deeper understanding of something that feels restorative instead of damaging, feeling the sense of what can be restorational, what can be foundational. This is a lot of energy that's learning the process of when we navigate through an abandonment wound. It's not the work that we can do entirely upon ourselves. It requires energy that is in alignment with us, that is also being observational. Because if someone is trying to be mindful of their abandonment wounds while another is just reacting to them, it doesn't create a space of balance. It doesn't create an environment that allows one to facilitate forward in a point of healing. But what we like to see right now for a lot of the energy, recognizing that, identifying a counterpart that is similarly invested in that type of work. This is what is giving evidence to a lot of the energy and relationality to feeling like they're actively healing something, because of that understanding that it is being observed by the counterpart that is similarly going through that same process. Now, there is energy right now that we're seeing that is coming into divine union, and this is the energy that is having to trust the process. not allowing that shadow of the past to overshadow the experience of the present, to inform upon it, to allow for that point of clarity. And so we see even now that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, that ability of feeling the gift of the past that can inform but does not calibrate, that does not repeat, but almost gives the evidence or the clarity in terms of what feels like it is different from the past. This is a lot of the energy that's having breakthroughs right now, moving towards deeper energetic connections. But it's hard work, because we see even now that some of that energy coming into divine union, simply having to trust the energetic commitment that you're putting forth from another, that is where the abandonment wound is existing. And this could even be energy that is seeing and identifying the changes within the self that are necessary in order to come into that modality of trusting the counterpart. Now, for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this is where we see that even if these are energies in separation, there's still a lot of breakthroughs that are occurring right now in navigating and healing abandonment wounds. Why? Because if these are energies that had to come into separation with a recognition point of the fact that there are emotions there, but not potentially clarity in relationality to what a potential counterpart desires or aspires. This is the energy that is recognizing the internal healing that is necessary in order to facilitate a healthy energetic partnership. Because this is the energy that's basically expressing that sense that while emotionality is important, while emotionality is vital, while emotionality is integral to building a healthy energetic experience, it's not enough. It's one part of two pieces that create the foundation of a healthy relationship, because a healthy relationship is built upon and based upon the emotionality and the feeling that we feel for a potential counterpart, while also that sense of building together, building into that experience, discussing and articulating what that planned future is that allows for the clarity. The relationship is effectively the clarity. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy recognizing that ability to stand firm, the ability to stand firm in terms of one's own manifestation goals. That is that flashlight that you're almost carrying with you, because the ability to move towards a manifestation goal requires an ability to see what is not the manifestation goal. So for a lot of energy right now in separation, if these were spaces and places where you would have been harder on yourself, where you would have beaten yourself up because something that you were hoping to generate in another wasn't evident, this is the energy that's healing from that modality, recognizing that it's not our responsibility to generate something in another. It's our ability to recognize whether it is present. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Hangman. Now, we do see that for some of the energy in separation right now, working through some of this path work, it's not easy. Across the board, there's still a lot of this work that we're seeing that's happening right now, because one of the things that we're going to articulate about today is the fact that the abandonment wounds, while they are ever present, they're not ready. They're not necessarily ones you can get rid of. You can't get rid of them. They're not going anywhere. So we see even now, what is the gift that a lot of the energy in separation is receiving as they move out of this retrograde cycle? Patience. It's patience. It's the ability to identify and recognize that the patience that we build forth in terms of seeing and observing what it is that we're seeking in a partnership, it requires time. It requires consideration. And this is even here energy that is potentially, I see a lot of energy in separation that are walking away from situations and scenarios that they may have given some considerable time to, right? Giving that portion of time, identifying the patience that is in that space or in that repository, in holding firm in terms of recognizing that the reason that the patience is a gift is because there are limitations around the patience, as it were. So we see even now that a lot of that energy that is navigating forward right now in separation is building value on the fact that patience is precious, that their patience is precious. But the preciousness of their patience is not one that means that it must be pervasive. It is precious because it is limited, right? It is precious because it is limited. So we see even now that a lot of that ability of navigating that, the gift of the energy in separation is being patient and not allowing the abandonment wound, working through the feeling of solitude, working through that sense of identifying and feeling comfortable and confident within the self. Allowing that to build you forward as you build into or towards new energetic connections. This is a lot of energy that may be building into that sense of feeling energetically ready, specifically because I see a lot of the energy in separation isn't just moving towards an energetic connection for the sake of being in an energetic connection, but is being very conscientious and cognizant in relationality to the shape and the form of that partnership. Now, for masculine and feminine energy, that is coming into divine union right now. A lot of this energy we see that is coming into divine union right now, this is working through that trust process. Because if these are the energetic connections that we're seeing that have both met the expectation of receiving that sense of feeling the emotionality, having the expression of the emotions, that is also met with that sense of building into clarity, building into the expectation, building into the plans going forward. We see even now for a lot of that energy navigating those spaces and places, some of the work that's occurring is allowing for that sense of being able to energetically trust the process. And while also doing that right now, we also see that for some of these circumstances or situations, these are triggering. These could be modalities right now that are kind of caught in that space or place of, again, building into trust that requires time, while also feeling some of that anxiety of the past that is still, because again, we are still in some of that retrograde shadow period. So some of that shadow of the past still kind of looming over to a certain extent. So we see even now for a lot of the energy navigating that space, this could feel difficult. This could feel very difficult. There could be a lot of internal unpacking that is happening right now for the energy coming into divine union, because it's giving me that energy that's feeling the hope or the excitement in terms of what something could lead towards, while also having to face the anxiety and fears of the past in terms of something that may have occurred from the past. But this is where we see that the gift of the past is still becoming helpful, because this is the energy that is recognizing and saying that the ability to compare, like this is the energy that again isn't reacting to the past, is observing through the past, utilizing that as pathwork of introspection and comparison that is building clarity in the difference between something that may have felt like it was just static, something that did not build clarity in terms of where it was going, as opposed to that feeling of energetic patience in terms of feeling and seeing that plan, feeling that sense of activation, and just understanding the difference in something that requires time. So we see even here that groundedness that's occurring here, it is allowing for that ability of recognizing and identifying what feels tangible versus what may have felt ineffable in the past. So even here, like this is a lot of that work that even if it's difficult, it is possible because there's a clarity and observation in something that feels like it is truly happening. It's just requiring effort to get there versus spaces or places in the past where it may have just felt like it was requiring you to occupy a space without understanding of where you were going interminably. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that are deep within the divine union frequency, this is a lot of this energy that's just working in that space or place of self-improvement. I just see this here. This is the energy that is moving out of this retrograde cycle, very committed to the changes that they may have tried to implement during that cycle, because we see even now a lot of that work for the energy deep within divine union, encountering the abandonment wounds, but seeing how far you've come. This is the energy that's moving into that space of appreciation, because this is the energy that says, almost feels that sense of identifying and saying, I can do something longer. Like I told you, a lot of that work, and it is a little different for masculine and feminine energy. For masculine, I see a lot of the masculine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, coming out of this retrograde cycle, feeling like feeling the robustness in how much their patience has extended. Like I just see here like a lot of the energy of the masculine, feeling that ability of being energetically patient through something is the gift. that's coming out of this retrograde. While for feminine, perseverance is the one that I'm recognizing here. The feminine energy that is just feeling that commitment to continue to push forward in such a way. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is clarification coming through right now with the Hierophant in its reversal. And I have to say this, the thing that's nice about this is we see that there's a lot of this, like, I want to say, energetic cycles that were changed, new creative steps that have been taken coming out of this retrograde. But that ability of doing something in a way that you haven't before, taking a different approach, this is what is allowing for some of that feeling of breakthrough as we come into Virgo season right now. Because a lot of this is, and what's interesting about this, and I need to stress this, but these two cards in combination, we've got here the Hangman and the Hierophant in its reversal, leaving the retrograde period with recognition of what feels like it is necessary versus what feels like it is adaptable. That was a lot of the gift that was coming out of this retrograde period, because I'm just seeing this even now, that ability of having a new consideration, having a different approach. We talked about this a lot during the retrograde. The fact that the retrograde isn't here just to mess things up. It's allowing for that sense or that space of being able to be adaptable, to be flexible in some areas, but feeling that sense of firmness. This is that sense of, again, what happens when we get shaken up during the retrograde cycles, seeing something from a different perspective that gives us clarity in terms of what we feel is integral versus what we feel can change within the self. So some of this feels like a lot of this excitement or a lot of this energy coming out of this retrograde, because I'm seeing even now that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, this is giving you a new take. It's giving you a new approach. It's giving you a new perspective. This is like starting fresh, but at the same time feeling the valuation and how far you have come. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is the energy of trusting the process. This is a little bit more difficult right now, because this is making you have to face the abandonment wound like full tilt right now as we're coming out of this retrograde cycle. Because if these are energetic partnerships that are taking shape, that have both built upon the ability to clarify on the emotional expression, while also being able to articulate what those changes are going forward. This is the energy that is feeling the shadow of the past looming over, that may create a little bit more of that reactivity within the self. But what is the energy doing to process through that, not returning back to something, or not allowing that point of assumption from the past to cast too dark a shadow over anything that you're moving towards right now? Utilizing the power of the past from a point of observation and not reactivity. Using it as pathwork of clarification, of recognizing what is different from the past, right? Because that is the difference between that feeling of sameness, saying that sense of saying something is happening again energetically, versus the energy that's almost looking with that optics towards the past, seeing both how much they themselves have changed, but also the counterpart that they're moving toward has changed, and almost immediately re-amplifying and saying, this is different because this is commitment, right? And that ability of holding firm and building into that commitment right now, it's requiring time. It's requiring consistency. This is what's so difficult when we build into new relationships. Because that patience and that determination, that consistency is not something that we can generate within the self or something that we can hold on to or give another. It's just something that we have to be present and patient for. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy navigating forward in that space, the reaffirmation of the energetic connection in such a way that it feels like it is perpetually not only existent, but always reinforcing the directionality that you're moving towards. This is a lot of energy that is feeling the difference between what may have felt like it was just static, may have felt like it was just holding you in place in the past, versus what feels like it's moving towards energetic progress. And that's difficult here. We can see it because a lot of the energy here coming into divine union, it's requiring that leap of faith. It's requiring that trusting of the process, while at the same time still in that retrograde shadow period, a lot of that feeling of the anxieties of the past still rising to the surface. You're like caught in that midpoint. So just continuing to allow one's own intentionality to shine through, to let that guide you. Not coming into that pathwork of assumption is still very important right now. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, one of the things I see that is very beautiful that's happening in separation right now is this is the energy that is becoming very firm in relationality to what it is that they desire in partnership. I'm seeing even now that for some of the energy in separation, what may have occurred over the last week or so was energetically difficult because it was requiring the optics in terms of seeing whether something was there or not. A lot of the energy in separation right now, the reason we see so much healing that is occurring is this is not energy that is coming into the assumption that anyone coming towards them desires the same manifestation goals as they themselves do. This is the energy that isn't coming into that pathwork of assumption, is utilizing the power of articulating through to identify and discern what is versus what is not. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy navigating those spaces and places, if these are situations and circumstances where someone was just articulating the emotions that they had towards you, but not providing the clarity in terms of what that meant going forward, that ability to just see that and to step away from it at a time that you would have become more invested, or you would have been more energetically patient to wait for someone to articulate their manifestation goals. This in itself is the energetic breakthrough that a lot of the energy in separation is having, because this is the energy that is letting go of the perception of the feeling that one needs to wait for someone to express what their manifestation goals are. This is the energy that's just recognizing that the ability to identify and articulate what one's manifestation goals are is not necessarily offering that to another energetic counterpart. It is clarifying the goals and whether that same alignment is present or not. And simply being in that modality is healing a lot of the energy in separation, because this is the energy that's almost, pushing back against that anxiety. Like, this is the energy that's working in separation, that's saying to themselves, if asking someone what they desire pushes them away, that isn't pushing them away. That's getting clarity or moving away from something that is not for you. Because that's the energy that recognizes that the ability to articulate upon a manifestation goal will never scare away energy that is similarly on that same pathwork. But it'll do a lot of work in moving the energy away that is not. So even here we see that a lot of the energy in separation, having that breakthrough point in itself is what's allowing a lot of energy to move forward right now. Being very committed towards what they know within the self is their determined partnership desire. And that's one that requires, and again, we talked about this, manifestation isn't just the ability to look at something and say yes to everything around the self and saying, this is the manifestation, this is the manifestation. It requires the ability to see something clearly and determine what is moving you towards your manifestation goal versus what is not. So a lot of that clarity of perception is the gift that we're receiving coming out of this retrograde cycle. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we love this. We've got here our Fool card in its reversal. Now, one of the things that we like about this isn't energy that is moving away from the possibility of being surprised. This isn't the energy that is letting go of the spontaneous. This is the energy that is healing from the past in such a way. I'm going to keep saying this because it keeps coming up. Observing the past in a way that clarifies, instead of observing the past in a way that makes one overly reactive. And we simply see even here that a lot of this work facilitating through this is allowing that clarity of perspective for a lot of the energy in separation that is almost feeling that sense of confidence, that boost of confidence we're having as we exit Leo season, of the energy basically saying, how am I going to miss what's for me? How could you possibly miss what's for you? This is the energy that's reaffirming their own energetic commitment that what is for them cannot be missed. because you know what is for you. So this is a lot of the energy that's healing in separation right now, because this isn't the energy that's holding on to energetic commitments that they don't see what they desire to be evident in a potential counterpart. This is the energy that is recognizing that when we move towards someone and we say to ourselves, well, I'm not seeing evidence of what I aspire and desire in this counterpart, but maybe if I stick around long enough, that'll emerge. What you're basically saying is that you're building into, in that moment of articulating that, you're basically saying you're not building into a connection with what you effectively see. You're building into the possibility of what could be. So that is building into not the reality, but the potentiality of another. So what is the energy doing right now in separation that's allowing for a lot of this energetic breakthrough? The recognition point of saying to oneself, if I aspire and desire to see something in another that's not evident, that's not a failure point of your own self. That is a recognition of the desire of another's potential, but also that ability of effectively not wanting to pull someone off of a pathwork if they're not committed to it. So that's why we see that a lot of this energy and separation is moving towards manifestation goals, with that directive basically saying if someone cannot articulate what it is that they desire in partnership, that's probably not the energetic connection that wants to move towards partnership, right? That's not the energy that is invested in moving towards partnership. If the energy cannot articulate a desire to move towards partnership, then that is the evidence. That is all one needs to see that clarifies what it is not. So we see even now a lot of that energy, feeling that breakthrough, is coming out of this retrograde, in that, out of Leo season into Virgo season, not feeling the burden of the self, not holding oneself energetically accountable. The ability to experience something that would have devastated you in the past because you would have felt it was something that was wrong with you, but instead just identifying and saying they're on a different path and they're not articulating what that path is. This is what's like lightening the burden for a lot of the energy in separation right now. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, this is a lot of the energy that's working towards trusting in that process. And I have to say masculine and feminine are very balanced right now here, because this is the energy that feels that anxiety, feels that fear, right? What's interesting about this is the energy that's in alignment in relationality to what their ultimate goals are at this time. But that feeling of the past reemerging, those anxiety points, right? Rising back up, moving in the direction of intention right now, is very valuable and very important for the energy coming into divine union. Because I can almost see that some of this energy right now, caught between this flux between Leo and Virgo season, caught between that flux of the Mercury retrograde shadow period, there could be a lot of that energy that's feeling that uncertainty in the self, because they're moving towards building trust with an energetic counterpart. And whenever we build trust with an energetic counterpart, there's always that possibility of the doubts and the fears that emerge. So what are these energies doing right now? They're looking forward. They're amplifying their own energetic commitment towards one another. And in the process, they're building into that sense of healing one another, because they're showing each other every step of the way what commitment is. Commitment is an active word. Commitment is not just something that we give someone and then we walk away from it. Commitment is something that we deliver again and again and again. And so we see even now that for a lot of that energy coming into divine union right now, some of the breakthrough is starting to feel the sense or recognizing the power of feeling that energetic connection with another that is similarly in alignment and building into that same spectrum of trust. Like there's a lot of that I see here. This is hard work I'm seeing right now for the energy coming into divine union. But again, if you're trusting the process, it can be very beautiful, because this is the energy that is that are re-encouraging, amplifying, giving each other confidence every step of the way. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that are deep within divine union, this is a lot of the energy that is experiencing or walking out of this retrograde cycle with a reaffirmation in relationality to what they've been trying to change versus what they're going to continue to maintain doing. I just see even now a lot of this work for the energy deep within divine union is holding firm in relationality to energetic commitments, but taking different approaches to the things that you're energetically committed to. So this is really beautiful energy, because this is a lot of creativity that we may be seeing is occurring right now. A lot of this energy just taking, like, I want to say this is like a launch pad, if you will, just really kind of like amplifying forward to a certain degree, using some of that energetic velocity, if you will. So much of this work that we're seeing here, this is the energy that's motivating forward in this way. And it's exciting, it's amplifying, it's giving, I want to say, new approaches, new projects, new plans, new perspectives. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is beautiful. We've got here our 6 of Cups in its upright. So one of the things we also see that's really lovely about this right now is there's a lot of work we see that is occurring in relationality to building upon healthy energetic connections. For masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now, this is a lot of, I want to say, a lot of communication, a lot of plans, a lot of positive path work. This is all new opportunities that I'm seeing that are occurring right now. And there's a lot, I gotta say here, there's a lot of, there's like a bit of like risk taking that I see is happening right now for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, but it's calculated risk. It's calculated. And when I say calculated, I mean it's because of the energetic support of the counterpart. It's because of, these are spaces or places wherein the energy would have been too afraid to do something in the past, would have doubted themselves too much, feeling that sense of encouragement, feeling that sense of support, feeling that sense, and because this is the energy deep within divine union that's not just doing something for themselves, they're doing it with the mindfulness of the energy that they're also within the divine union with. So we see even here a lot of that amplification that's occurring here. This is building upon that like sense of, I want to say, community, the energetic whole, the family system. There's like a lot of this like navigating forward in such a way, and it feels very strong. It feels very impactful. Now for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is why this energy may feel so much more rigorous, because this is the energy that is building this as they go. This is the energy that is coming out, and I gotta say this right now. There's been energy that's coming out of this retrograde cycle with some kind of new plan, with some kind of new approach here. And I see even now the way that energy is identifying the difference between any kind of cycle in the past that may have made you feel like you kind of had to exist in a limbo state in order to navigate it, is the clarification in feeling the sense of seeing the active changes that are occurring as you move forward. This is like the energy that is literally feeling the uncertainty, trusting the process, having the experiences of the past coming back up to the surface during the shadow period, but then being able to say and observe and say, no, this is not that, because this is what offers clarity. This is what offers progress. So even here, this is that validation that often is experienced when we have those moments of healing, right? Because healing is difficult. Healing requires us to confront those places that we were injured. And for a lot of the energy that I see right now coming into divine union, having those moments of those wounds that are being uncovered in the process of trusting a partnership that is taking shape, that is building into a pathwork of reassurance. I see here that there's a lot of energy coming into divine union that is learning how to trust again. The difference that I see that is occurring for the energy coming into divine union is almost the evidence of seeing that there's like an energy that actually, the energy that I'm okay. This is what I'm getting right now. So I'm just gonna tell you guys what I'm getting to help you understand this, because it's a little bit nebulous. The difference between an energy that in the past that would have potentially looked at you and said, I need you to trust me. but with no evidence of why, right? Just the energy that asks to be trusted versus the energy that can truly be trusted that says, I would never ask you to trust me because I'm just going to show you that you can, right? I see even now that there's a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union that's having to weigh in a modality of the past that would have felt more like that sense of someone demanding trust, but not giving evidence as to why, versus the energy that almost feels more of that sense of building trust, right? And energy that's building trust never has to say to someone, I need you to trust me, right? Because that's the energy that doesn't, that their integrity, the integrity shows, right? The energy that is able to be trusted is not the energy that ever asks for it, because the integrity is just ever present, right? Well, for the energy in separation right now, this is a lot of energy in separation that's saying, connection or bust. And this is more of the same message that's coming through, which is, again, if this is energy that's moving away from a situation or circumstance where they feel like asking someone what something was and having someone express emotionality instead of clarity, this is a lot of the energy that's, again, working through that abandonment wound by saying to oneself, the articulation of an emotion is not commitment. The articulation of an emotion is not commitment. Say it with me. The articulation of an emotion is not commitment. The only thing commitment is clarity in terms of building forward in relationality to sharing the manifestation goals going forward. So I see a lot of energy that's walking forward right now, potentially away from circumstances or situations where they wanted clarity, but instead of getting clarity, all they got was emotionality. And I can see that energy literally walking forward, saying to themselves as they go, emotions are not commitment. Emotions are not commitment. Emotions are not commitment. Commitment is commitment. And this is the energy that's feeling that sense of certainty that, again, articulate an energy that is committed to the same manifestation goals as you yourself are, will always be evident and will always be ready to articulate that towards you. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Hanged Man in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. And we love to see this card today because more of this clarification right now. This is the energy that's basically reaffirming if these are situations or circumstances in separation. I even see it here. Listen, we saw a whole shebang about this. Like last time we were reading, we saw a whole shebang of some situations and circumstances wherein we recognize that there may have been a lot of explosiveness in terms of articulating emotionality during that retrograde cycle. Either, again, something that felt similar to the past or the past energetically returning. The ability to articulate the difference in terms of progress related to the expression of emotionality versus the ability to identify what that means going forward. This is the energy that is recognizing the difference between stagnancy, a circumstance or situation that requires you to remain stagnant within it, versus an energy that is able to recognize what progress through it means, right? And the energy here that we're seeing that is navigating forward in such a way, this is the type of situation or circumstance where, again, I have to stress, and this is why I could see so much of this maybe feeling like a sense of frustration, because this is the energy in separation that feels like the worst thing that could potentially occur is the wasting of time, right? This is the energy that simply recognizes the difference between the expression of emotionality that says stay right here, don't go anywhere, just stay here, just stay right here. The emotions just stop, like the emotions that say stop versus the emotions that say come with me. The emotions that tell someone stop, just stay here, don't move, versus the emotions that say come with me. Right? So we see even now that for a lot of that energy in separation, this is the energy that recognizes, and this is why we see it even now, going to say it again. A lot of this energy and separation, the expression of emotions, is only one half of the energetic connection in relationality to commitment, because commitment is not simply based on the expression of how one feels. It is the articulation of saying, this is how I feel towards you, and this is what I want to build with you. So we see even now that the gift that a lot of the energy and separation is receiving is simply the observational point of recognizing whether that is evident or not, does not require one to be patient through it. The gift that we see that the energy and separation is having is just identifying and saying it's either present or it's absent. It's either present or it's absent, and not holding oneself energetically accountable as to the why is what's allowing so much of the energy right now to move towards manifestation goals, because it's recognizing that someone can have all the emotionality for you in the world, but they don't want to go anywhere with you. They don't want to build with you, right? So even here, that clarity is what's helping build into that sense of progress. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that's clarified that for one another. And this is why this has gotten difficult, but in a different way. Because if this is energy that is mutually experienced the dual gift of articulating both how they energetically feel towards one another, while also being able to identify and recognize what those manifestations goals are going forward. These are the energies that don't feel like they're waiting for something to change, so much as they're sensing that change that is actively occurring in the energetic connection itself, because this is the energy that is building the connection via consistency, via that sense of waking up every day and feeling that sense of identifying and saying, it's still here. It's still here, because that is the energetic commitment. And the energetic commitment is never passive. It is always active. It is always there. It is always reaffirmed. It is always revitalized at every moment. So a lot of this energy is recognizing the feeling of something that is there, versus, and then in the same moment, experiencing the healing of experiencing those situations or circumstances, or looking back at something and saying, I was always waiting for something to arrive. I was always waiting for that feeling of confidence. I was always waiting for something there to change. So this is the energy that's feeling the difference between what feels like the relationship that's built upon the lack, right? That's built upon that feeling that something is energetically missing, versus the energy that feels that sense of someone giving forth in such a way that the energies are moving in the same energetic direction. Because when you're moving in the same energetic direction with each other, it's like it amplifies, it builds upon itself. It just grows. While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within divine union right now, this is just the energy just cranking away, just doing everything that they can. The hardest thing that I'm seeing right now for a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now has to do with creating moments or easement or rest to a certain degree. Because this, even here, this is a lot of the energy deep within the divine union frequency that just feels the frustration that is occurring for a lot of the energy deep within divine union is feeling like one does not have enough time, that there isn't enough of the self to be able to move forward in any kind of in this modality here. And so I see even now that for a lot of the energy right now deep within divine union, pouring oneself, like getting very focused right now, pouring a lot of your time, effort, and energy into things, it's requiring a selectivity to a certain extent. It's requiring that selectivity and that sense of concentration. The hardest thing I want to say right now for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, and this was, I got to tell you right now, this was a lot of the work that we saw that was occurring both between the Capricorn full moons, okay, and a lot of this like egoic work. Remember, because we talked a lot about the unpacking of the ego that occurred during this recent retrograde cycle, is remembering that path work of perseverance can take a few knocks on the ego, right? That when we're moving on an egoic journey, like when we're moving at a pathwork of purpose, we don't move towards that direction for the sake of the ego. We move towards that purpose because it's our energetic purpose. So we see even now that a lot of that energy is feeling the appreciation point in staying very committed towards that pathwork, even when something was energetically difficult. But that is, in a way, like that is what is amplifying so much of that work of perseverance, because this is the energy that is learning how to stay very focused throughout, right? I keep getting like neither wind nor rain nor dark of night. Like that's that kind of work, right? Because that's the energy that stays focused regardless of what is occurring around them. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Hangman in its upright in combination with our Hierophant in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Two cards coming out to clarify. Interesting. We've got here our Four of Swords in its upright in combination with our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're within divine union right now, like energy within the divine union, I'm going to just say this. I want you to listen. I don't think you're going to believe me. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to rest. You are allowed to rest. Okay? In fact, remembering that ability to rest is what creates the space or place for you to continue forward to a certain extent. Because I see even here, this is the energy. I'm seeing a lot of the energy within divine union that are trying to build into modalities or experiences that, I want to say this, that allow for a prioritization point of rest. And I can already hear the energy within divine union going, I'm like going like that, but yes, because this is the energy. Because this is the energy, and this is why I'm telling you right now, because this is the energy that's working so foundationally towards what happens when you're on pathwork of purpose is that you hate energetic rest. You hate energetic rest when you're on pathwork of purpose because it feels like you're denying the pathwork of purpose. So there's like, again, I can almost see energy right now within pathwork of purpose building rules as to like creating spaces and places wherein they can rest, because that like it allows for that modality of building into a sense of saying that you're creating a space that becomes your own energetic sanctuary to a certain extent. Right? Like you're basically, and remembering that is okay. Like you can have that and still be on pathwork of purpose. Well, for masculine and feminine energy that are coming into divine union right now, a lot of this work that we're potentially seeing coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that is working through trust issues. This is the energy that's working through trust issues. And this is I'm telling you right now, I do not want any energy coming. I don't want anyone who's moving into divine union right now to assume that the past is repeating itself. If you're feeling energetically triggered in some way, shape, or form, I want you to compare. I want you to ask yourself. This will be all the clarification that you need, okay? You know, the relationships, the situations from the past that may have felt like they were creating more of that lack mentality, that were requiring those spaces that say stop, Like I have the emotion, so just stop, right? Like that energetic connection that says the emotions I'm giving to you, because I told you we talked a lot about this last week, that ability of feeling the gift when we have emotions for one another, that ability to articulate what we desire to do with them is effectively the identification between the gift of the emotions. It feels like it is wings versus an anchor, right? Because when someone gives emotions, but they don't give any clarity as to what the future holds, what they're really giving you is they're giving you an emotional anchor. They're saying, stay right here. I'm giving these to you. I don't want to hold them. So like, just stay here. There's not, the activation is stagnancy. It's to stay in place. Versus the energy that says, I'm giving these to you because I want to go places with you. I have that aspirational path work. I see that path ahead. So we see even now that a lot of energy coming through into a lot of these modalities or these experiences, this is the energy that is identifying and valuing the weight of the energetic connections that they're moving towards, that helps them recognize those experiences from the past that may have felt more like they were creating that sense or state of stagnancy, that are now having to trust that energetic process in terms of building towards something with a counterpart. Like, this is why the trauma from the past can feel so energetically heavy at times, because this is the energy that is coming into that state or space of recovery by reaffirming their own energetic commitment and saying, I recognize that I need to take a leap of faith when I trust, but I also recognize that that leap of faith is how I heal from the past, because I look at the past and I say, I will not let that past change my perception of what is possible going forward. So there's a lot of beautiful healing that's occurring right now for energy coming into divine union, but it's requiring that facing of the past and almost looking towards it and saying, you have no power over me, right? I can utilize that perception, but you don't have power over me. This is the energy that's carving forward into those energetic connections going forward. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that are in separation, that ability to perceive, that ability to work through I just see a lot of that energy right now. If these were modalities or experiences wherein there was, I just see a lot of the energy during that retrograde cycle, having a modality of someone expressing a lot of emotionality, right? Expressing a lot of that feeling. But someone having the power of perception and looking at something and saying, those emotions, they're not commitment, right? Like, those emotions, I'm not saying that they're not true. I just, like, a lot of the energy in separation, saying I can recognize that someone can hold a lot of emotions for me, but not desire to move with me. This is the clarity that a lot of the energy in separation is receiving right now, because this is the energy that is looking towards the potential connections and effectively identifying and recognizing and saying to themselves, is this moving in the direction that I want it to go? Or is a circumstance or situation where someone doesn't know what they want, right? So we see even now that a lot of that work that's occurring in that space, this is the energy that is unpacking those experiences from the past. And this is where the past becomes a power. The past becomes a gift. The past becomes a tool, because this isn't the energy that is assuming that is occurring. This is the energy that is being informed about those past experiences, and it's amplifying and it's building into that power of observation. And now we see that there's some energy in separation, and I want to say it even now, it's not like this energy in separation is saying to themselves, I'm really glad that awful relationship happened, I'm really glad that I met that individual that shifted my perception. But this is the energy that says, I can see something here that I couldn't energetically see before. I can recognize something that feels similar or akin to that. And that ability of perceiving something, observing, and utilizing that power of observation to guide you going forward. This is the past. This is the rough past that becomes the energetic flashlight, right? That's that moment that thing that hurt you can then shine a light forward. So we see even now that a lot of that energy in separation, the healing that comes from that is not feeling the weight of not seeing that within another. It's just recognizing that not everyone has the same manifestation goals as you might have. And that ability of observing that is what's amplifying a lot of that direction going forward. See a lot of energy in separation that are moving away from, I can see it right now. They're literally saying, I would have stayed in that situation longer. I would have held my breath and waited for a manifestation goal. And the healing that's occurring for those energies in separation, and that's that like pat of appreciation that you're getting as you leave Leo season, is the energy effectively saying to themselves, I'm not going to wait for someone to articulate their manifestation goal. I'm just going to see whether it's evident or not. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Hierophant in its reversal and our Fool card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with we have here our King of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, this is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine right now, this made me feel, for masculine energy and separation right now, I want you to recognize and identify that like there's a lot of healing that I'm seeing for a lot of the masculine and separation right now. And one of the things that we are seeing is, if this is masculine energy, and I was just reading for this a few days ago, if this is masculine energy that is building into that point of confidence within the self, if you're just coming into that state of confidence within the self, and suddenly you're looking back on past experiences where your fear felt like it was the limitation point in terms of being able to articulate what it is that you desired and aspired to build towards feminine, I'm going to say it right now. I do not want you to hold yourself in a space of blame for that. Because if you're looking back on a past experience of yourself, and you're saying to yourself, I wish I had more energetic confidence, that's probably because you already are in a point where you're seeing and recognizing that within the self. You've already made that energetic change. And that ability, like that is, I have to tell you right now, regret, as difficult as it is to carry, as long as we are able to carry it, is a beautiful, is how we heal. It's how we heal energetically. We always move forward. We always have those spaces and places where we look back and say, I wish I could have done better. But the gift of the present always offers us that opportunity of energetically correcting to a certain extent. So I see even here, for some of the masculine energy moving forward in that way, I see some of the masculine energy in separation. I keep hearing, trying to find the words to say is what I'm getting. Trying to find the words to articulate, trying to really, and I can see this is like internal processing, because I'm going to tell you right now, there's some masculine energy that's like, it's nebulous, like what I want, it's a little hard to describe. And so even there, like masculine's own ability to really recognize and say, well, if feminine can only meet me as with the same amount of energetic strength that I can meet the feminine, right? So we see even here that there's a bit of this masculine energy that's working through this right now in separation. And I want to say it feels like coming into power, coming into confidence within one's own self, right? Because if this is masculine energy that was working through those experiences in the past where there was that like uncertainty, I see a lot of the masculine in separation remembering and saying, if I'm not able to bring it forth, how will I ever know if the feminine desires the same, right? This is the masculine that's like working on bringing that forward to a certain extent, because this is the masculine that's like, building in the power or the trusting of their own self. So much to such an extent that ability to do so, I just see it even here. This is the masculine saying, when I articulate to feminine what I desire, I show the feminine that they can build in a space of safety with me, because that's the masculine that says, I tell the feminine that what I'm trying to build with you, I'm trying to build with you. I'm trying to do energetically together. So we see even now that there's a lot of that masculine energy going forward in separation right now, building into the confidence of the self in terms of doing that. And I want to say some of it is like relearning, if you will. I just see this. There's a lot of the masculine energy going through some of these processes of frustration, feeling that frustration in terms of what they were how they were effectively told they should move towards feminine, versus understanding and recognizing and what feels like it is energetically healthy, what feels like it creates that supportive environment. And I could even see this is some of the masculine energy unpacking some of their own trauma in terms of the frustration, in terms of the expectations that were effectively put on them, in terms of how they felt they needed to move towards feminine, that now is almost requiring that re-education, if you will, in understanding the self and finding that vulnerability that becomes the strength. And so a lot of that right now is masculine going through that energetic process. It's not easy. For feminine, that sense of recognizing that that is not easy for the masculine, like that's the feminine almost navigating for. And I will tell you even now, if these are circumstances or situations wherein feminine is moving away from an energetic connection of a potential masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, in someone who's only able to articulate the emotions, but isn't able to talk towards the feminine as to what they dream or aspire to create with the feminine. The most painful hurdle for feminine energy experiencing that is the feminine energy recognizing that there's a point of that sense of regret and looking back and saying, I can never tell if that was a masculine energy that did not have the confidence to bring forward their manifestation goal, if they hadn't found the courage to do so, or if that is a masculine energy whose manifestation goals deviated so far away from my own that they weren't willing to articulate them towards me. But that's why we see so much of the feminine energy saying, and unfortunately this was a lot of the lesson that was occurring during that retrograde cycle, when masculine is not able to articulate upon what their manifestation goals are, this is the feminine that says, I have to assume the worst. I have to energetically, this is the feminine going, I have to energetically protect myself, because in that modality, I told you so much of that feminine during that retrograde process. If masculine was just like coming towards the feminine and articulating their feelings, but not their path forward, it's like feminine was receiving that by like masculine coming up to feminine being like, give me your heart. And feminine being like, what? And masculine being like, just give me your heart. And then feminine being like, where are you going to take it? It goes, I want your heart. And feminine being like, but where are you taking it? And they're like, do you not want to give your heart to me? And feminine's like, but where are you taking it? Like, this is the feminine that says that regardless of the reasons as to why, like with the masculine asking for that, this is the feminine saying, I'm not going to give my heart energetically to someone if they can't tell me where they're going with it. That's how a lot of the feminine energy is just recognizing this process of being able to articulate upon what the energetic commitment is going forward. When we build forth in a space or place of someone that just tells us our feelings, but does not articulate as to what they desire with us going forward, this is the feminine that's healing and going, the equivalent is effectively saying, give me your heart. I'm not going to tell you where I'm taking it. I'm going to go off with it for a bit. And this is how the feminine is effectively healing that. The feminine saying that the ability to articulate where you're taking one another's hearts is what the expression of love is. It's not just in the asking for the heart. It's not just telling someone how much you desire the heart. It's telling someone how you will protect the heart. And you tell someone how you will protect the heart by telling them what you're going to do with it, what you dream to do with it, where you want to go with it. And that's why we see so much of this energy right now with, again, the Fool card in combination with our Six of Cups. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, this is that trust process. Because if these are experiences wherein that clarity has been given, this is feminine that understands and recognizes that consistency is key. That the ability to articulate upon one's desire and the ability to effectively to enact upon it. There's a lot of feminine energy that may be healing either from experiences wherein someone never provided that clarity to them, or that clarity was promised but never energetically delivered. So we see even now, this is why so much of that energy is working through that trust process, because this is the feminine energy that every day when that modality of affirmation with masculine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, this is the feminine energy feeling the consistency of the commitment, which is the love. Feeling the consistency of the commitment, which is the love. And for masculine, again, this is not masculine energy coming towards feminine and saying to feminine, I just need you to trust me. Because this is healed masculine energy coming into divine union that recognizes and understands why the feminine energy might be in a modality where they're not eager to trust masculine. But this is, again, the healed masculine that does not ask for feminine to trust them. Because the masculine energy in a point of healing says, I want you to give me the opportunity to show you. It's not something I need to articulate in words. It's something that I plan on putting into action. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within the divine union frequency, this is building into new practices. This is trying to build into new routines. There's a lot of this energy that I'm just seeing right now that is coming out of this retrograde process with a sense of like a reaffirmation of energetic commitments to a certain extent. And so for a lot of this energy navigating in that way, building into these new processes, building into these new experiences, this is like learning new habits. This is like putting new practices into play. And some of that, like, it always feels shaky, but again, the consistency is energetically key to a certain extent. Continuing to get clarification between our Fool card in its reversal in combination with our Six of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Wands in its reversal. So, masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union. So much of this work right now, I'm telling you, even here, this is like untangling all of the snarls that may have occurred during that retrograde process. I just keep seeing this here to a certain extent. Like, I just feel like that retrograde process to a certain extent provided context and clarity to what feels like it's helpful versus what feels like it wasn't energetically productive. I'm just seeing this here right now. There's so much of this work that I'm seeing that's happening that's requiring, and I want to say this, it's building into a point of energetic focus to a certain extent. And this is why, remember what I kept saying? Please, 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 I really hope you listen to me. When I was articulating that something really important during this recent retrograde was not taking things personally. Not taking things personally, just being productive, not taking things personally, just being productive, because now we see some of these wheels that are picking back up. We're starting to see some of that activation that's occurring. And now for the energy that was patient through that process, that feeling of building into that sense of the patience being consideration. This is like I told you, the problem with so much of this retrograde was that feeling like being on hold and getting more and more frustrated with the person you're on hold with, forgetting that they themselves are also on hold, feeling like that was you, right? Like, this was a lot of this work that we saw was occurring here. So that ability of moving through the productivity point, letting that help you effectively facilitate. This is why so much of that work during the retrograde cycle was helping recognize the ability of not letting the ego be something you feel like you need to protect, recognizing that the ego is effectively there to protect the inner self. This is what allows so much of that energy to move forward right now. And almost breathe that sigh of relief, maybe even have those conversations in terms of even saying to someone like, oh, I thought that you were upset. I thought you offended me. And like untangling those energetic knots that often occurred during the retrograde processes. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that are coming into divine union, trusting through that process, going through that energetic journey. This is the energy that, again, it doesn't require that sense of saying to someone, I just need you to trust me. This is the energy that's committed to showing one another that trust is evident because it's ever present. While for the energy right now in separation, this is just a lot of the breakthrough in terms of identifying and recognizing. I feel like the energetic recognition point that's happening right now for a lot of energy in separation has to do with manifestation goals, which is just, it has to do with the frustrating aspect that if someone is not clear as to whether what their manifestation goals are, there's either one of two things that are happening. That's either energy that is too afraid to articulate upon what it is that they dream and desire going forward. It makes it very hard to be able to build into a functional, healthy partnership. Or that is energy that doesn't want to articulate upon their manifestation goals because they don't feel that they don't feel that another energy would be in alignment towards them. So we see even now that this is a lot of the energy that isn't overly internalizing when that occurs. They're just being very mindful of it. They're being they're recognizing it. And the gift of recognizing that doesn't create a modality of feeling like one needs to change another or wait to be patient for something to become evident. It just allows for some immediate clarity that helps you move closer towards your manifestation goals at a faster pace, because moving towards manifestation goals requires an ability to say no so that you can find your energetic yes. Continuing to get clarification between our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Four of Swords in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Star in its reversal. So for a lot, and look, this is where some of that self-doubt starts to kick in. We see it even now. I'm telling you, we're not completely out of this retrograde right now. We're still within the retrograde shadow period. So you could still be feeling a little bit of that energy from the past still kind of looming over to a certain extent. So again, if these are I need to stress this right now, okay? Because there's different messages coming through for masculine and feminine. For feminine, if these are modalities where you're looking at something and saying to oneself, this always happens, or I haven't experienced this before. This is a lot of the feminine that's almost getting that higher guidance and saying, have you said no before? Have you moved away from it before? Have you walked away from what wasn't for you before? Because this is a lot of the energy that's working through some of those experiences of the past, wherein the feminine may have had to unpack spaces or places where they lingered, or they waited to be energetically appreciated, or they waited to be energetically seen. So we see even now, if this is the feminine that's feeling some of that self-doubt creeping up in an experience or opportunity, wherein again, they weren't being given that clarity. This is the feminine that's starting to heal their own self, because this is the feminine that's saying to themselves, that isn't something that's occurring because the feminine is in that modality of being wrong. This is the feminine saying that when we have to the ability to protect one's energy. Why do we say protect one's energy? Because when we say protect one's energy, we mean the ability to observe counterpart and articulate upon the intentionality of the manifestation goals. So this is a lot of the feminine energy that's healing in separation, because so much of this feminine energy is recognizing and identifying. This is feminine saying there could be a lot of energy that's around you, but if they're not moving towards the same manifestation goals, if they're not holding you in that point of energetic appreciation, that's that difference between being wanted and being appreciated, being desired, and being celebrated. So we see even now there's a lot of this energy of the feminine that's working through some of that energetic unpacking to a certain extent. While for masculine energy and separation right now, there's a lot of masculine energy and separation that's building into that point of confidence in being able to, and this is literally, I see a lot of masculine in separation right now, aligning the head and the heart space. And if this is the masculine that's doing this work right now in separation, this is the masculine energy that may be looking towards their manifestation goals and either saying to themselves, why do I have a difficulty in articulating to the feminine what it is that I desire and aspire going forward, right? This is the masculine energy that may be healing from experiences in the past, wherein you may have had those moments that you weren't feeling confident, or you may have had these moments where you may have thought that ability to articulate towards feminine was something that was told to you that the feminine would shy away from. But rather we see even here that's a lot of the masculine that's working. And this could be like, I can see a lot of hostility here for some of the masculine in separation, because I can see masculine in separation almost looking towards past experiences and being like, this is what I was taught. This is what I was told was desired from feminine. But even here, some of that healthy shift that's occurring in separation is the masculine relearning how to build not just a connection to feminine, but a healthy connection to feminine, a supportive connection to feminine. And that is where we see that a lot of that masculine energy is working on, even in separation, building forward with that ability to be vulnerable but intentional, right? The ability not just to express the emotionality, but also to put directionality towards the emotions. So we see even here, this could be leading to a lot of energetic breakthroughs. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is that work in trusting the process. This is that work trusting the process. This is that work looking at something and reaffirming. And this is why it's so important right now to make sure that you're articulating and building into consistency. Because I see even now that there's so much of that experience of the shadow of the past looming over still in this retrograde, that like there's some of that fear or some of that uncertainty that's being brought up to the surface, that's like it's the moving towards something that feels like it's intentional, that is opening up the ability to like process those experiences from the past wherein that wasn't being received. So being very intentional right now in relationality to the direction that you're moving is very important at this time, because it can feel very triggering at the moment that you energetically receive it. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, so much of this work right now, I just get finding ways to prioritize rest. Finding ways to prioritize rest in a way that doesn't feel like you're moving away from something that you desire. Because I see even now, there's so much of this work that's happening. There's like a little bit of this energetic shuffling that's happening right now, deep within divine union. That's almost like, I want to say like rebuilding what those habits are, rebuilding what those processes are. It's requiring a little bit of that shift, if you will. So being able to be very like, don't be hard on yourself in that process. Be functional, be practical. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal and our King of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Two cards coming out to clarify. We have here our Empress card and our Five of Wands in its upright. So for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, the thing that's so important about this is the recognition, it's recognizing what your priorities are. I'm just seeing it here. There's so much of this energy that we're identifying here. It's requiring that prioritization point. It's requiring that appreciation point. And even here, the beauty of a lot of the work that we're seeing that's occurring within divine union at this time, it's that pathwork of purpose that is creating that amplification point in terms of what it is that you're trying to fight for right now. Masculine and feminine energy, you know, I want to say there's a little bit of this defensiveness that may be occurring around situations and circumstances at this time. Specifically, and I need to say this because so much of this that we're seeing here is requiring, I'm telling you even now, things that are like, I want to say things that are changing around one another that are requiring a little bit of that like aggressive negotiating to a certain extent, right? Because this is the energy that is identifying what feels like that comfortability point, what feels like it is creating those points of comfort between being able to move towards pathwork of purpose while also feeling that sense of doing what is necessary at the same time. So I'm seeing even now that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, having those experiences right now, recognizing and identifying, it's taking new approaches. But at the moment, and this is the gift that some of that retrograde was allowing, because the ability of doing something or feeling the frustration and still being able to do it anyway, that builds into the pathwork of purpose so much so that this energy is feeling recommitted and reaffirmed to what it is their focus is going forward. And it's requiring, like, this is work. This is the energy that's like really like identifying and feeling excited about that work that's ahead of them, because it is work that is generating or filled with passion, right? It is the pursuit of the passion. It is the celebration of the passion. And this is the gift that the energy within divine union provides for one another, because that is the energy that honors the passion of the counterpart and works to facilitate that going forward. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into divine union, so much of this work that we're seeing that was occurring coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that's feeling that sense of accomplishment in relationality to building forth with counterpart that desires the same things that you yourself desire. And you're feeling that sense of moving forward, but it's requiring time. It's requiring patience. And even here, there's so much of this, I want to say, this energetic struggle that we're seeing around circumstances or situations to a certain extent, specifically and particularly. Because for so much of this energy here, the moment of receiving that, the moment of finding that via the counterpart, this is the energy that is now looking back on the past with different optics. This is a lot of that energy that's closing out those cycles in the past internally in the process of moving forward towards counterpart. And it is having a different reactivity point on masculine and feminine. For feminine, there may be more of that feeling of energetic frustration that may come to the surface in those moments, because that point of appreciation, of identifying and understanding like what that feels like, it can be triggering. For masculine, I can see almost like a level or degree of protectiveness that's coming towards masculine in that moment of building towards feminine in this way, because this is the masculine. If the feminine is not in that process of trusting, this is the masculine that builds empathy into understanding why the feminine may have those moments of doubt, where that comes from. And both of those energies are reaffirming on their own energetic commitment to prove to one another that trust isn't something that just needs to be articulated. It's something that can be evident and shown via the consistency. While masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this is a little bit energetically easier for feminine in separation at this time. Because for feminine energy in separation at this time, I'm just identifying there's something really important that's occurring in terms of the feminine energy, recognizing that knowing one's own energetic standards, if those are experiences where feminine feels like the masculine isn't meeting them, if these were experiences where in the past, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, feminine would have lowered their energetic standards to meet masculine. This is a lot of the feminine energy that's working to they're not necessarily lowering their energetic standards, they're just observing situations and circumstances that feel like they would require them to do so and just proceeding onward as a result. While for masculine, a lot of this work that we may be recognizing and identifying that you yourself are navigating are, if these are spaces or places where you may have been experiencing less certainty in relationality to what it is that you aspired with feminine, your own ability to communicate through that, that is what is energetically healing. Because for a lot of the masculine energy, I just keep seeing that there's something about the masculine feeling like they were taught in some way, shape, or form that they had to not reveal their motivation or their desires towards feminine in some way was going to be energetically attractive towards the feminine. I just see a lot of the masculine shifting and recognizing that is not necessarily a truth. It's almost something that created a deviation point and then being able to build forth into a harmonious energetic connection with feminine in the first place. So that's why we see, even now, I see so much of this masculine energy that feels like they're healing on the most quantum of levels, because you're looking at the energetic source of those lessons. I can almost see masculine energy looking at being who taught me that? Oh, a masculine. You know what I mean? I can almost see masculine looking back and being who taught me that? Oh, a masculine. Continuing to clarification on these cards right now between our King of Pentacles in its reversal and our Knight of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Lovers in its reversal, right? Because this is the masculine energy looking towards, and I have to stress this is actually beautiful for masculine energy if you're having this modality right now. If this is masculine energy and separation that's idealizing and desiring a harmonious connection with feminine, this is masculine now looking at where they may have learned some of the energy that may have been causing some of the disruptions in their energetic connections with feminine. And now it's like a point of comparison. This is like masculine looking at the source of the energetic lesson and saying, well, is that the ideal? Were they in the energetic ideal to be imparting the energetic lesson? This is a little bit of masculine. This is masculine energy fact checking. This is masculine energy that is like fact checking the masculine energy where some of these like older conventions or these older thoughts came from. Because this is the masculine saying, well, again, I just need to look at the energetic connections around that person to articulate and to say, is that what I aspire and desire? Was that energy ever in a connection that was commendable in that fashion? Because this is the masculine energy. And this is beautiful. This is masculine energy trying to go to the source of understanding where the disruption came towards them that's causing that difficulty in being able to communicate to feminine what those dreams are. Right? This is a lot of that masculine energy and separation, doing that internal work to get to the source, not towards of what they've been like shown or was given to them, but more in really recognizing and understanding what is required of masculine in order to build a healthy relationship with feminine in the first place. For feminine energy right now, this is more of the feminine energy just coming to the point of recognizing. And this is what is so difficult for feminine right now. I'm going to keep saying this. This is what is so difficult. If this is feminine that is only experiencing a modality of masculine, articulating the emotions, but not talking towards the manifestation goals. It's more of the same. Feminine saying either one of two different things could be happening in that moment. That's either a masculine that is too afraid to tell the feminine what their dreams are, or there's a masculine energy that doesn't feel the feminine would share their dream. And the feminine looking and always feeling the heartbreak and departing from moments like that, because that's the feminine saying, I can never be completely sure which was occurring. But this is also the feminine saying, sticking around to try to figure out which one it is it doesn't, either one does not allow for a healthy connection. Because if a masculine energy cannot articulate what their dreams are to feminine's always in that space or place of never knowing what is existing between them. The way we build a healthy connection with one another is by articulating to each other what we dream. And then moving towards that dream is commitment. So we see either right now that's a lot of the feminine energy feeling the sadness if they're not receiving that from masculine, because it's more of that uncertainty and saying to oneself at that moment of departure, I will never know if that was a masculine that was too afraid to tell me what they dreamt, or they knew I would be afraid of, or that what they dreamt would not be something that they felt was inclined to be shared, right? That is not that energy of connection. Well, for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is how that process is healing. This is how that process is energetically healing. And it's via the effect of like working towards one another and saying to one another, I'm not going to allow the shadow of the past to lean heavy. We're going to articulate this by talking about what we dream and building upon those plans and building trust with one another going forward. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, this is the energy that's just feeling the frustration in relationality towards, I want to say, building forward in such a way that feels like it, like I see it even here. There's so much of this energetic frustration that's happening right now deep within divine union in trying to, I want to say, energetically heal. And I can even see a lot of the energy deep within divine union giving advice towards others right now in terms of how to heal energetic connections. And this is why I kept saying it was really important right now not to take things personally during this retrograde period, because I keep getting a sense that there's some kind of clarification that is now coming through to help understand what some of those disconnects were. Continuing to get clarification. This is a lot right now. Between our Four of Swords, our Star energy in its reversal, our Empress card in its upright, and our Five of Wands in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Wands in its upright. There's a lot of feminine energy. A lot of energy on the board, on the table right now. So let's unpack it, because there's a lot here to go through. All right, so this is okay. Feminine energy deep within divine union right now. I have to say, like, one of the things, like, and we're gonna get through this because there's a lot of masculine. This is what I meant, like, I gotta say, there's a lot of work that's happening right now and this has to do outside of the energetic connections themselves. I want to say that there's a little bit of this energy that we're seeing is occurring deep within divine union right now. And this is feminine navigating other feminine energy, reaffirming and like re-amplifying. I want to say this, like, a rising tide raises all ships, not stepping on one another's toes. Because I see even here that so much of this energy of feminine right now. And this is why I told you not to take stuff personally right now. I told you not to get all up in your feels. I know how hard it was not to get all up in your feels during this retrograde cycle. Because, you know, this is the energy. Look at this. This is the energy that, like, if you were going through this retrograde cycle, and I have to say this, going through this with this, like, woe is me kind of mentality and saying, oh, it's harder for me than it is for everyone else. It feels like today, like, all of this coming out of the retrograde is giving you clarity on how everybody's going through that in such a way. But the important thing is everybody has their different way of going through it, right? Some energy, like they're saying even here, some energy is more like evocative about it versus other energy, because we see even now so much of that work happening. And this is why I said not letting yourself take something energetically personally, because this is the clarity of the connections that are helping you understand and recognize what may have been going on under the surface that you were taking energetically personally, right? While for masculine energy right now, this could be a little bit more of that same work that we're seeing in relationality to energy or energetic connections around you to a certain extent. And I want to say even here, this is why it was important that you weren't taking things energetically personally, because I see even here that this could be a lot of the masculine energy recognizing that something that they were taking energetically personally had more to do with masculine navigating some important stuff occurring via the energetic relationships during this time. So that's why I was just kept saying and reaffirming not to take things personally right now during that retrograde cycle. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is more of that trusting of the process. And what the difficulty that I see that's happening in relationality to the trusting of the process here right now is the fact that these are the energetic connections wherein there are changes happening in the connections around them as they build forward into the deepening of an energetic connection. And I see even now, this is why so much of that feels that it's arduous, because I can see even now that for both masculine and feminine, feeling some kind of friction point at the moment that something moves into a deeper connection, because these are also some energies that are coming into divine union that may have had those experiences wherein energy did not have the wherewithal to come into an energetic connection because they were too concerned with the energy around them. I'm just seeing this here. That's why so much of this energy right now may be feeling so much of that moment where they're kind of building into that point of consistency and confidence, while also feeling the anxiety, because I'm seeing even now that some of that energy coming into divine union is recovering from those experiences where everything was going just fine until something opened up on a personal level to those around them. Because the ability to move into divine union has to require the wherewithal and not caring about the energetic opinions of those around you. So we see even here, there's like energy that's looking towards one another, coming into divine union, going, are you, like, this is that ego behind the ego. Are you energetically strong enough to enter a union? Because when you are, if you take things personally, if you're impacted by other people's opinions of you being an energetic connection, well, there's some energy here that's recognized or felt the valuation of energy that was not strong enough to maintain an energetic connection, because it was at the moment that they brought it forth to others and others went, boo, that they were like, oh, I wasn't going to do that. And like, that's the energy, like there's some energy here that's experiencing and like working through that process of bravery and strength that is required to maintain and build upon a healthy energetic connection. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within, like in separation, a lot of this work is coming into that sense of consistency. A lot of this work is coming into that sense of valuation. A lot of this work that I'm seeing right now is really the amplification of recognizing and identifying that when we move towards energy in connection, the ability to articulate what we desire in a connection is not something that we wait upon as a point of patience. It's something that it's a requirement out the gate. And so I just see even now, like a lot of the energy in separation is healing. And there may even be some experiences here that are reaffirming that, walking away from something because trying to get that clarity. If it wasn't there, this isn't energy that's sticking around trying to wait for someone to decide what they want. They're just waiting. They're just seeing whether it's there or not. Clarification between our Five of Wands, our Empress card, and our Lover's card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with Nine of Cups and it's upright. So masculine and feminine energy right now, here's the thing. The beautiful thing I'm seeing right now for the energy in separation is moving away from some kind of circumstance. I keep saying moving away from a circumstance or situation wherein you would have given it more time. You would have given it more bandwidth. You would have invested trying to ascertain something. This is the energy that's feeling the healing in terms of saying that what one desires in partnership shouldn't be something that is fought for. It should just be something that's non-negotiable. It should just be present. It should just be apparent. It's particularly for feminine right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I just see a lot of the feminine energy saying this isn't something like asking someone what it is that they desire in partnership shouldn't feel like you're pulling teeth. It should just be a simple question. So there's a lot of energy right now, feminine, that if that feels suddenly like they're pulling teeth, they're not sticking around for it. They're just walking away. They're like the static is the answer. The static is the solution, right? It's just the feminine saying if there's static, there's static. I'm not going to argue as to why there's static. This is the feminine just saying the presence of the static is the clarity. While for masculine, this ability of recognizing and identifying and understanding, coming towards feminine and being very clear in terms of not only what you feel, like this is a lot of the lesson of the masculine in separation that we articulated upon. Emotions aren't enough. Celebrating of the feminine isn't enough. Telling the feminine like what one feels towards the feminine isn't enough. Being able to articulate what it is you desire with the feminine, that is the energetic combination of partnership, because that is, again, the articulation or the expansion point of emotionality isn't a commitment. It's just the expression of desire. Commitment is the articulation of desire with an ability to tell someone what one desires to build towards with them. Final card, and for a lot of the masculine energy, building into that point of confidence to do so is a lot of that work going forward. Final card for today's spread between our Queen of Wands in combination with our Nine of Cups and it's upright. One card to clarify. clarification coming through right now. Love to see this card here. We've got here our 10 of Cups in its upright. So masculine and feminine energy right now, the one thing I'll appreciate is this is a lot of the energy in separation that is potentially feeling, even at this moment. I like, I have to say this. There's some energy right now in separation. I'm literally seeing that is choosing solitude of the self to partnership. But even in this modality here, I'm seeing that that's the energy that almost says that the ability to move towards a manifestation goal is not contingent or reliant upon the energetic counterpart. This is the energy that almost articulates and says to themselves, I'm moving in this direction. And if I find someone on the way there, all the better, because this is the energy that's staying very focused in relationality towards their manifestation goals, but even more so are very able to articulate them towards someone that they're approaching in this way. This is why I see so much of this energy in this modality right now. Like this is becoming the non-negotiable for feminine. This is the feminine that says if the feminine is able to go to that process of articulating to masculine what that manifestation goal is, this is feminine that's basically saying the energetic standard is receiving the same from masculine in kind, because that is the clarity as to what feels like it's moving towards the manifestation goals versus what is just moving them in the space or place of filling an energetic desire. And this is almost like a lot of that feminine energy recognizing that sometimes when you move towards fulfilling the immediate gratification of a desire, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're moving towards a manifestation goal. For masculine energy right now, a lot of this work that we're seeing has to do with the ability to really articulate to feminine what it is that you aspire and desire in terms of partnership going forward. And what we're just recognizing here, and this is where we see so much of this is healing. If this is experiences wherein masculine was somehow taught, if you were taught that that was something that was not like, that was something that you had to hold at a length from a feminine, this is a lot of masculine energy that's healing in the recognition point that a good energetic connection doesn't require is not built upon the withholding of something. It's built upon the giving. It's built upon the offering of it. So we see even now that this is a lot of that energy moving towards healing by building that sense of self to a certain extent that amplifies and articulates what that is. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is the gift that you're giving one another right now. And while there may be anxiety there, while there may be uncertainty, this is also the energy that works in that sense of reaffirming to one another that the energetic commitment is the commitment is the reamplification of the manifestation goals day after day after day after day. The consistency here is key. And we see even now that a lot of that energy, even if you're feeling some of that shadow looming from past experiences, the feeling of what is being forthright and given is helping to heal those experiences may have held you more in that lack mentality of waiting for something that never energetically arrived. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, this is just feeling like creating your own joy right now. This is just feeling like working through those spaces and places of abundance. Feminine, a lot of this work that we're seeing right now, I have to say, is maintaining that sense of positivity and productivity under less than ideal circumstances. Like that was a lot of the work that we saw that was occurring during the retrograde cycle. For masculine, it's one of navigating patience. I just keep seeing this. I just see that there's a lot of these circumstances where masculine may have felt like their patience was tested during the retrograde. And now the masculine coming out of that is like, yes, I can be patient and it pays off. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now. Oh, 6 of Wands in its upright. So I told you, we're still working through this a little bit. We're still working through this a little bit. I'm going to just reaffirm it. Okay. The major overarching lesson of this retrograde: not taking things personally, getting productive. Not taking things personally, getting productive. The ego is not there to be protected. The ego is there to take the hits. It's there to protect the inner self. So we see even now like a lot of that energy, I'm going to tell you right now, we're still not completely out of this retrograde. So continuing to do that work and not taking something personally is going to help you in a big way right now. That is our daily collective read for the day. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, gracestrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our last tarot class. Our next tarot class will be held on Wednesday, September 11th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our tarot studies with an exploration into the Hierophant card. If you would like to become a part of that class program, simply head over to my Substack, gracestrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack will grant you access to our live classes each month. You'll also have access to the course materials and recordings of the previous classes. So if you've missed anything, you've got ample opportunity to catch up. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we are learning. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are in your own personal tarot journey and give you insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your effect going forward. One of the things I tried to do in those classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So thank you if you're already taking that class with me, and I look forward to seeing you at our next class. Also, I will be drawing the winner of our August giveaway today. So if you haven't entered, now is the last opportunity to do so. If you would like to enter our giveaway to win a free tarot reading, go ahead over to my, there's my link tree in my bio. There is a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway. But if you want to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull the winner, I will be giving away a free reading, not only to the person who wins the contest, but also to the person who referred them. So thank you so much, and I wish you the best of luck winning this month. Finally, I want to let you guys know of a few services I now offer on top of my standard life path readings. I offer mentorship classes. These can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series. That is 4 45-minute classes, 1 per week over the span of a month. These can be focused on any area that you are interested in investigating or studying. I take a very limited number of students for this reason. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I am now offering weekly tarot insight packages. That's a package of 4 30-minute readings at a discounted rate, 1 per week over the span of the month, so that you can stay more consistent on your own journey work. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and joining in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.